Hey guys, Mr. Dardini here. Hopefully week 2 of e-learning is going well for you. Missed seeing you guys. Hope you're doing good. And just want to give you a lowdown for today. So goal today is I want to talk to you a little bit about hardiness zones, kind of explain what those are. Goal is to try and figure out a way to best determine what plants to put where based on what we learn in the hardiness zones map. Then after that, I'll get an assignment for you. But again, if you have any questions, please reach out. Let me know, and I'm happy to help. All right, let's get to work. So, what I've got for you today is a map of the USDA hardiness zones. Okay, if you've never heard of it, that's totally fine. This is a little tidbit of information that's usually on the back of plant tags, but it actually tells us a lot about where plants need to go. Okay, so the way that it works is you can kind of tell by the map that it's color coded based on climate. Okay, so the USDA assigns a hardiness zone. I'm going to zoom in here. A hardiness zone to an area based on the average. It's right here. Average extreme minimum temperature in the winter. So what they're saying is basically the colder the winter is, the lower the number the hardiness zone is going to be. So hardiness zones go from 1 down to 13, and the minimum temperatures range from 60 below Fahrenheit, that's really, really cold, all the way up to 65 to 70 degrees. So 70 degrees is the minimum temperature in the wintertime on average. Okay, and look at where the 13 is, Puerto Rico. Okay, the 1, so the 60 below minimum temperature average, that's all the way in Alaska, the very top of Alaska, almost in like the northern pole region. Okay, everybody else in the central 48 has a number somewhere between, looks like 3 in northern Minnesota down to like 11-ish in Florida. Okay, so if we look at this a little closer, what it's really telling us is, okay, if we know what a plant's hardiness zone is, okay, like if we know that it's a 4A, we know that that plant can take temperatures in the wintertime as low as 30 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. Okay, so a plant that has a low hardiness zone can take colder temperatures and last longer throughout the winter. So they're more likely to overwinter in a colder environment. Okay, if a plant is a hardiness zone 8, okay, that means that the plant can't go below 10 or 15 degrees Fahrenheit in the wintertime before it'll die. Okay, so obviously we know from being around here that we have winters colder than this, colder than 10 degrees Fahrenheit, so a plant that's a zone 8 is not going to survive an Indiana winter. Okay, so what are we? Okay, if you look too, I want to just point out each zone. The zones are, like zone 1 is 10 degrees wide, 10 degrees more for zone 2, 10 degrees more for zone 3. Okay, and it gets warmer by 10 degrees every zone. Okay, and then each subzone, so it says 1A, 1B, those are breakdowns of the zone, and it's 5-degree increments. So a 1A is 5 degrees cooler than a 1B, which is 5 degrees cooler than a 2A. You get the idea. Okay, point is, okay, the lower the number, the colder the plant can take. The higher the number, the warmer the winter has to be for the plant to last throughout. Okay, what happens if you, like, let's say, what happens if you take a plant that is a zone 11 and plant it in a zone 3? Okay, what's going to happen is that summer is going to be fine. The plant will make it all summer. And then when the temperatures get to that point where it starts to get too cold for that plant, it dies. So it essentially becomes an annual, and it will not come back as a perennial year after year. It dies when the temperature gets too cold. Okay, so let's look at what we are. Okay, we go back to our map. Okay, and I'll put the link in for this too. Let's take a look at Indiana. Okay, Indiana. So the majority of Indiana is this bluish color, which is a zone 5. It says 5B. Okay, so it's a zone 5, which means we can take, our plants can take temperatures down to 15 below 0 Fahrenheit. Okay, that's why If you remember a couple winters back, we had that really, really cold spell. It got really low, like below this mark for a couple days. That following spring, a bunch of the trees had dead limbs, and a bunch of plants that we normally would see year after year didn't make it. It's because it crossed that threshold and it got too cold for those plants to survive, okay? Southern Indiana, as we're going south, it's getting warmer, okay? So the minimum temperature there, like at Evansville, look at Evansville. Evansville's a 6B, so it's -5. So those plants have to take, or can only take, a -5 degree Fahrenheit, and just, a little bit further north where we are, it can take 10 degrees colder, okay? So let's put a little, I'm going to go back, okay? Let's put a little visual, so to speak, with the plants in this map, okay? We know that this is average minimum temperature in the winter, and we know that the color in the zone gives us an idea of how cold the plant can get, but what does that really mean, okay? So I've got a geranium pulled up, okay? You go to the store, okay, and you pick out a geranium or any plant that you want. On the tag, it'll tell you, okay, so you see right here, it'll tell you what the hardiness zones are. So this geranium, this specific variety, can be planted in hardiness zones 5 through 8, okay? So we know, let's go back to our map, we know that it can be planted in Indiana, because we're a 5, so it can basically be planted anywhere from here down to 8A, which is right here, so basically the majority of the United States. And again, if it gets planted down here in Florida, okay, it's a little too hot, so it's probably not the best choice for Florida because it's used to those colder climates. And if we planted it up here like in the 3, okay, that geranium up in the 3, it'll last in the summertime, but when it gets cold, it's going to die, okay? If we put it where it's supposed to be, okay, between a 5 and an 8, then that plant right here in Indiana should be a perennial and come back year after year, okay? And even the annual plants have these. So if, let's say that we picked an annual like a pansy or impatiens, okay? We put it and it's a zone 5. That means as soon as the temperatures get to that 5 threshold, that -10, -15, plant's going to die. It's not going to come back, okay? So this information is basically what people are using to try and determine which plants can go where, based on how cold it gets in the United States. Every plant has a hardiness zone attached, a hardiness zone range attached to it, so you kind of have an idea as to where the best possible situation for that plant is going to be. Okay, so I hope this has been helpful. Please use the information that I've given you to finish and complete the assignment that I'm asking you to do for today. And don't forget that on Friday, you've got the vegetables quiz coming up, 20 out of the 46 that I gave you. Please, please, please reach out if you have questions. Good to talk to you. I know I can't really see you, but I hope you're doing well. Missing you guys, and I will talk to you soon. See ya.